A CHRO is building a global AI ethics and governance policy, and the first decision has nothing to do with the technology.
It has to do with which cultural framework can carry the full weight of this challenge. Get that decision wrong, and every policy rule built on top of it is compromised.
The policy must be globally consistent in its principles and locally adaptable in its application across every region the organization operates in.
That means addressing AI transparency, fairness, and accountability through a lens that can handle cultural complexity, novelty, and aspiration simultaneously. The CHRO must choose the framework before a single rule is written.
At the SHRM-SCP level, choosing a framework is not a literature review. It is a strategic judgment that shapes every downstream decision.
The wrong framework produces a policy with blind spots. The right one creates a foundation that is comprehensive, defensible, and built to evolve with the challenge.
The first tempting move is Hofstede, the most recognized name in cross-cultural studies, power distance, uncertainty avoidance, decades of validation. It feels like the safe choice.
But for a novel, forward-looking challenge like AI ethics, Hofstede's older research base and narrower dimensions fall short. Choosing it here is an execution trap, defaulting to the famous over the fit.
The second tempting move is Trompenaars, specifically universalism versus particularism. It is a powerful lens for resolving cultural dilemmas.
The problem is sequence. This CHRO is formulating the policy, not implementing it. Trompenaars belongs at the implementation stage. Using a tactical tool at the strategy formulation stage is a second execution trap, and it is easy to miss.
The third option reduces the entire challenge to a single dimension, high context versus low context communication. Clean, simple, and a strategic abdication.
Reducing global AI ethics to one axis avoids the rigorous, multidimensional analysis the problem demands. That is the passive abdication trap, seeking simplicity when the problem requires complexity.
The GLOBE project provides 9 cultural dimensions developed specifically for modern organizational complexity. It is more extensive and more contemporary than any of the alternatives.
And it contains one feature none of the others offer, the explicit separation of cultural practices, what is, from cultural values, what should be. That distinction is the strategic engine.
The gap between current cultural practices and aspirational cultural values is exactly where a global AI ethics policy has to operate.
GLOBE gives the CHRO a tool to map today's reality across regions while simultaneously setting the ethical standard the organization is moving toward. That is not just analysis, it is transformation architecture.
This question tests the inclusive mindset competency, specifically the operating in a global environment subcompetency. The secondary competency is global mindset and cross-cultural leadership.
At the SSCP level, the test is not whether you can name frameworks. It is whether you can select the most precise and powerful tool for a complex, novel strategic challenge.
A rigid or oversimplified framework produces ethical blind spots in AI deployment. Regional leaders resist policies that feel tone-deaf to their cultural values.
A Western-centric ethical standard imposed globally creates stakeholder friction and compliance exposure. The framework choice is also a risk management decision, and the GLOBE project is the most defensible hedge against those risks.
Here is a principle worth keeping. When governing a novel, high-stakes challenge across global contexts, select the framework that matches the complexity of the problem, not the one that is easiest to name in a meeting.
Familiarity is not a qualification. Comprehensiveness, contemporary relevance, and the capacity to bridge current reality with aspirational standards, those are the qualifications.
The GLOBE project is the most defensible foundation for a global AI ethics policy. 9 dimensions, contemporary research, and the one distinction, practices versus values, that transforms a policy document into a strategic instrument.
At the SHRM-SCP level, that is the standard.
The full breakdown, including the elimination logic and decision walkthrough, is at criticalthinkr.com/preview.